All right, before we get into the podcast, wanted to say I am aware that we pitched Al Franken's book about a month ago. Wanted to say that we don't support that. Obviously, didn't know he was a pervert, but you know what I do know? There's some intro music coming. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing. I'm Zach.
I'm Jonny.
Hey, Jonny, welcome back. We just did 10 minutes of recording, and then Jonny realized he was recording from the wrong microphone. So, good job, man.
I was testing you to see if you could notice that I sounded differently, and clearly you failed that test. And your punishment was spending 10 extra minutes with me.
Well, you said you fixed some shit on your mic, so I was like, oh, well, maybe he edited enough where now it sounds really different. Maybe he, pushed down his gain or something on his mic, but no, you just weren't using it, so...
No, I changed all the settings on the wrong microphone. I was like, wow, this sounds so much different. What's going on? And then we figured out why.
Yeah, that was going to be reminiscent of the time where you recorded
my whole bit
checking with Jonny on your computer mic as well.
I really like talking into a microphone that is not recording. It's good.
Yeah.
Why do you sound so distant? I was like, what are you talking about? My face was right in front of the snowball.
I'm like, Jonny, you need to speak a little louder, dude. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, yeah, and happy soon to be American Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's it's a very special day. It's a day where we can all eat as much as we want, and then feel bad about it the next day. But living in the moment. YOLO or yo-yo. I guess I said yo-yo and then tried to change it, but we'll stick with yo-yo.
Just owning it. Just gotta go with it.
I'm owning it, man. So yeah, I have something. I guess we can jump right into it since we're talking about Thanksgiving. And Jonny, I know you're obviously, and know you're Canadian, and our listeners as well. So you don't partake in Thanksgiving like we do. But
I mean, it's a special place for me from my time in the U.S., obviously. But I don't do anything too crazy aside from capitalize on the Black Friday sales.
Sure.
Which it's really weird to see. Like, it used to be kind of online in Canada a little bit.
Yeah.
But now as Canada, continues to try and catch up to our older brother America, it's actually in stores now. So it's really weird that it's like Black Friday, and it's like, but it's not even our Thanksgiving. But I mean, I'm a total spaver, so I'm down. I'm down with the deals,
What was that word?
A spaver.
All right. Hey, Jonny. There's a Johnnyism. That's a minus point from whatever you had. We're not even keeping track of that stuff anymore. But I've never heard. Nope.
It's you only spend money when you're saving money. So I only buy things I only buy things if they're on sale. But I will buy things that I don't need just because they're on sale. And I'm like, this is a really good deal. And if you were to ask Al, she'd probably tell you that I'm a bit of a hoarder with things. But like good things, not like random newspapers and garbage, but
No, yeah, you're keeping all your used napkins and you're restacking them up.
Well, you can wash those, make paper mache, reuse them. You never know when you need a Kleenex,
Doesn't matter if it's got barbecue sauce all over it or snot or it's all gonna
usually a mix of both.
It's gonna be used in a different way, so it's all good. What are you drinking, Jonny? Is that straight vodka?
I wish. I'm drinking some lemon tea because I have a bit of a sore throat because I was outside all day today in the cold, and now I'm concerned that I'm getting sick. But it's it's some lemon tea, and I just finished it because we had to retake, and now I don't know how I'm going to survive.
Well, if you like, you can leave for however long it takes to get tea, and I'll talk shit the whole time.
No way.
No, okay. Well,
Actually,
whatever.
can we just pause and then restart the podcast when I have a full cup of tea, please?
Yeah, we're only 5 minutes in. Collectively, we've talked for a quarter of an hour, but let's cut it. Let's cut it, dude.
I guess I gotta be careful, because I think I'm still on a short leash with some loyal listeners, so I'm still earning my rights to be here, I guess.
Yeah. So I take it you saw the Instagram comment then?
Yeah, I did.
Saying you passed the test.
I mean, I felt like there was like a little bit of hesitation in the way I read that in this listener's voice who I've never spoken to in my life. But what I imagined their voice would sound like. I was like, well, it was kind of like, cool. You get like a B, and I'm like an A kind of guy, so I know I gotta push a little further and probably continue to be on my best behavior.
Yeah, I mean, passing is just a 60%. That's all you had to get. As long as you got a 60, it's passing. D's get degrees.
That is sad but true.
You just got to get anything above an F, and you're solid, dude.
Yep, that's right.
I'm just going for that 1.0. Just shooting for the 1. It's all you need, man.
It's a nice, clean number. You could say you're number 1.
It's true.
So, what'd you get up to this weekend? How was your weekend? What'd you do?
It was fine. Well, today I got out and did yard work, which I hate immensely.
I was going to say, you look much more happier than I would be expecting you after doing yard work.
I'm happy because I'm not doing it anymore.
Oh, yes. What kind of yard work did you have to do?
No, well, just with the seasons changing, all of the leaves dropped into the yard, and then and I had to figure out what to do with them. And I decided the best course of action was just to do my last lawn mowing of the year and just mulch them all up. So,
I mean, don't really feel bad for you, because basically in Canada it goes from summer to immediately winter.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and by the way, I didn't hear what just happened because you just stopped talking for about 20 seconds, so I don't... What was the last thing you heard me say?
Something about seasons changing over and dealing with leaves. Yeah. And then I said, I don't feel bad for you because there's like half a foot of snow in my backyard right now.
What'd you say? What'd you say? I didn't hear you. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're just fucking with me now. That's it. Retake.
We're done. No, so you've already got snow down?
Oh my god. It typically we will have snow that stays by Halloween every year, no matter what.
Dude, that's the worst, and you're not a snow guy.
No, I hate winter. I probably shouldn't live in Canada, or at least not in the province that I live in.
That's like somebody in Miami being like, ugh, I hate all this hot weather.
Yeah, basically. Except, Miami is much smaller than all of Canada but more or less deals with this. There is a little place further west from me where they don't really get snow, and it kind of hovers, like winter is like, I think 35 to 40 degrees for the most part.
It's not bad.
I would love to move there. It's just extremely expensive. Maybe someday. But yeah, I really don't like winter at all.
Well, even I always say, hey, man, you need to move to Kansas City. But even if you move to Kansas City, you never know. I mean, we sometimes we don't get a lot of snow. Other times we're like inundated and like it takes 2 hours to get to work. And,
yeah, it's really because so many of you guys don't have winter tires. And so many people still have just like summer tires when it's in winter over there.
See, that's Canadian preparation because... we just have tires,
There's at least 3 types of tires in Canada.
I'm sure it's different for like mountainous areas and stuff in America, but like
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
in Kansas City, it's just like, oh yeah, we just have the tires. You know, we got the one set of tires, and then we change them whenever the tread gets slow. Like that's basically it.
Hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, you crazy guys.
What enlighten me on tires. So there's snow tires?
Yeah, and then you can have like performance summer tires, which are basically like skis in the winter. And then there's like this all season tire, which is kind of like a summer, but it has deeper tread, so it's not really a summer tire. It's more like a warm weather winter tire, because winter tires are really, really soft rubber. And the reason for that is if you have too thin of rubber, like in summer tires, or too hard in the cold, they freeze basically, and then it's just like hard plastic is what it feels like. So you're trying to drive in snow and ice, and like imagine, lunch trays basically. But the tire compound in a winter tire is much fatter and a lot softer. So in the cold, it still stays kind of sticky like a tire should be. But if you drive those in the summer, when it's too hot, you basically melt them off and you shoot tire everywhere. So there's like an all season tire, which is kind of like in between the two. Yeah. And they're okay. And a lot of people use them throughout the year, but winter tires actually make a huge difference.
So you telling me you have like another pair of wheels just sitting in your garage right now, waiting to put them on?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's an expense I wouldn't want to have to pay for.
Yeah, but if you think about it, I mean, at least in Canada, it's basically winter from October until June. So,
dude, I chose a bad time to drink the rest of my apple ale, dude. Almost spewed everywhere.
May picks up. Like May's not horrible, but it will still snow in May. But usually you put like your winter tires on October, and you take them off like around the third week of May. You should be okay. But like March and April, yeah, it's still crazy weather at that time. So you buy 2 sets of tires, and it's basically they last twice as long because you're switching tires all the time.
All right.
So, I mean, it kind of balances out, I guess. But you also have the pain of switching tires and then having, ideally, you save them on separate wheels.
Right. So you had to go out and buy a jack or...
I mean, I have all that stuff because I work on cars all the time anyway, so it doesn't really bother me to do it. But I know a lot of people it does. And even some of my friends here, I'm like the guy they go to when their car's broken, and then they just pull it into my garage and sort it out. But
nice. So you're like, I guess.
I mean, I need a bigger garage. That's the case that I'm trying to make. Is we need a much bigger garage.
Yeah, I think we all do. I need a bigger garage just to put all my shit in it.
Yeah, no, the garage is definitely not storage. It is like cars and motorcycles only. Specifically, my cars and my motorcycles only.
Sure. I mean, that's how it should be. I moved into my house, let's see here, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And still have stuff in the garage that I need to go through. But it's just like, when we moved in, my youngest was, 2 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So she that was dealing with her, and then all the other stuff. So
yeah, man, life happens. I understand.
Yeah,
I get a lot of flack from people out here when they talk about, like cars and parking and like because of the cold and the snow and someone asked like, oh, you must like how big's your garage? Because everyone knows like I have a project car or two at a time and a bike and stuff. And everyone's like, oh, like, how big's your garage? Like, to park your cars plus have, like, a shop. And I was like, well, we don't park our cars in the garage. And they're like, what? And I was like, the garage is, like, my project car and my motorcycle and all my tools. And that's it. Yeah. And they're like, you make your wife park outside in the winter? I was like, yeah. She has command start, and I shovel off, like, I'll brush off her car in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like, she survives. She's tough. And they're like, well, how big's your garage? And I was like, it's an oversized double. And they're like, so you can fit like 2 cars in there, but you only park one? And I was like, yeah, I need room to work on it. And they're like, well, what would it take?
Selfish, dude.
No, it's not selfish. Not selfish at all.
Selfish, dude.
That is my space. Like,
all right.
And like,
I mean, some would argue that it's a garage with 2 garage doors. And
it only has one garage door. It's just a really big garage door, for the record.
Oh, God. So it's so it's the one garage door, but you can fit 2 cars inside of it.
So we're looking at building a new garage in the backyard in the next couple of years.
Oh, okay.
And the deal is that once the garage is like over like 700 square feet, Allie can park in the garage. So we're going to build a 900 square foot garage in a couple of years. And she'll have one space that will be walled off. It'll be like a really big double and then a small single for her. And then she can park her car in there and they'll be fine.
Man, dude, all the rules you've got with Allie, dude.
That's 2 rules. And the garage thing she completely agrees to because whenever we move, I just said, I don't care where we live. I don't really care what the house looks like. I just need a garage that's heated and that is stable and that is big enough to have like all my tools and all my parts and my car and my bike. And she's down with that. Like inside decorating, I don't care. Kitchen stuff, I don't care. Bedroom stuff, don't care. All I care about is the garage. And if you think about it, it makes sense because of how cold it is and how much snow we get here. My garage is heated. So if you're constantly opening the big door, pulling in and out of it every day, like it's a waste of money. And then you pull in with like all the snow on your car and muck and then it melts. And then I have to go work on my car and there's water everywhere in the garage. It's just not a good time.
All right, man. I mean, you can justify it however you want. At least you've got a plan to be able to get your soon-to-be wife in the garage,
It's not a priority because again, she has command start, and I brush off her car.
It's not a priority.
The priority really is I need more space because if I have more space, then I can get more cars.
Speaking of space, you wanted me to bring up that you were officially retiring from competitive eating. I assume you don't have the space in your stomach.
That's a big part of it, I guess. I don't know. So, I mean, you know me, like a pretty big eater. We obviously talked about the Jonny challenge, which is really just like a regular meal for me. And I've always been a big eater, even when I was a kid. I mean, I was always a big guy in various ways, but like I had a huge growth spurt. Like I was like 6'3" by the time I was like in grade like 7 or 8 or something.
Wow.
So like I ate everything I could all the time. And then anywhere I would go, like if there was like a challenge, my buddies would be like, hey, can you do this? And the deal that I had with them was that I'll do any challenge as long as they pay for it. If I eat it, if I complete it, they pay for it. And if I fail it, I'll pay for it. And that like, paid off pretty well. I set a record in Vegas Fat Burger.
Did you?
Yeah, the wheelbarrow burger. I actually did that with Wally, and he was just like shaking his head at how much I can eat, and I never turned that down. And until recently, I'd only failed one food challenge, and that was trying to eat a 12-pound burger with a partner, and my partner did not pull his weight, and I was really upset about this one loss, and it was kind of ragging me for a while. But as I'm getting older and I'm like eating less and like, eating healthier and like experimenting with like intermittent fasting. Anyways, I was at a bar and they had a challenge burger and my buddies were like, you need to do this. And I was like, I don't know. I was hemming and hawing and I was trying to figure out like, how heavy is this burger? Cause I know I can basically put away like 5 pounds pretty easily, right? More or less. But they didn't really know how much it weighed, and then it came with fries, and I asked about like the plate of fries, and they're like, oh, it's like a little boat, like this big, and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty reasonable. I can do this. So I order this burger, and the burger is like almost a foot tall.
Oh,
And then
Jesus.
it was an entire dinner plate of like poutine. And I was just like,
Oh no.
and I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, I don't know if I have it in me to do this. One, I'm not like nearly hungry enough right now, but two, just like the mass of the food, and like poutine is really rich and hard to eat a lot of. And I failed miserably. And I had the moment where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm really sad about that. And
Yeah, did it break your heart?
it did, man. That's like, I've defined myself on eating the most ridiculous things I could ever find.
Yeah.
And now that's gone.
Sorry, man. It's a grieving process, I'm sure. I'm sure you went through the what is it? The the 7 steps or the
7 stages? Yeah.
Yeah, 7 stages. And what are you in? Are you in the final stage at this point? Or are you still dealing with it?
No, I'm in acceptance. I mean, I'm not
Oh, okay.
like powerlifting like I was. Like my body is just completely different. So scientifically, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. If I come across like a good like 5-pound burrito, I'm throwing myself at that just because I love burritos. But every burger that I come across now, I'll probably turn away and just enjoy my meals, which is not a bad thing, you know, just to enjoy your food instead of eating until you're like grotesquely full.
Speak for yourself, man. No, I've never been one to. I used to be able to eat a lot, but I never like even tried any kind of like well, finish this and you get your name on a plaque or whatever.
Dude,
you know,
I have so many shirts with like restaurants' names on them.
Do you really?
Yeah. Ali gets really embarrassed when I wear them.
You know what you should do? You should just layer them all up. You should just
Allie's mom, I think, said I should make like a quilt out of them or something.
Oh, that'd be good. But
like
what I was getting at is you should layer them up and then wear them out with her. But like make it look like you aren't wearing like 42 shirts somehow. And then when she's like, ugh, take that shirt off, and you take it off and it's another
the
shirt.
Next one.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. My favorite one it's from Soda Jerks, and it says, I ate Doris. And Doris was like their signature hamburger. And Allie is like, why do you have to wear a shirt that just screams, I ate Doris?
Yeah, that's a separate meaning for that.
And I was like, hey man, that was a good burger. The buns were grilled cheese sandwiches, so each bun was a grilled cheese sandwich. It was pretty fantastic.
Oh, dude.
I ate the shit out of that thing.
That sounds really good. Like, that's the thing, is a lot of food sounds really good to me, but I don't know. Like, something changed in me, and now I just can't eat like I used to. But yeah. I think like you said, that's just sort of how it goes. And I think I haven't eaten like that the way that I'm imagining since I was still probably growing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it was like, it makes sense why I can't eat as much anymore, but yeah, it is what it is, man. Hey, I'm sorry you had to let that go, man. But
it's all good. You know, that's life. I'm just hoping my friends will accept it, because I know we're going to go somewhere and something's going to come up and they'll be like, oh, you should try this. And I'll have to, you know, respectfully decline. And then they'll probably call me some kind of name.
You're going to get sucked back in, dude.
No. Don't give in to peer pressure. Unless it's a burrito. If it's a good burrito.
Here in a month, we're going to get back on a Skype call, and you're just going to be like 20 pounds heavier, and I'm going to ask what happened. You're like, my friends fucking roped me back in, dude.
It's a slippery slope. Man, drugs. Food is a drug, you know?
Yeah, you know, just like sugars and fats and stuff. Yeah, it gets you, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I think getting back to what we were talking about Thanksgiving, I wanted to give you a little quiz.
Oh, jeez.
All right. So I've got here.
I'm gonna fail this so bad.
No, I've got here an infographic. Okay.
Okay.
And these are pretty non-traditional Thanksgiving items. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Not like insanely non-traditional, but like, it's not like turkey. You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't go guessing turkey, but I'm gonna give you I'm guessing probably a West Coast state. I'm gonna give you a Great Plains state. I'm gonna give you a Midwest, Northeast, and I'm gonna give you a South. Okay. So I'm gonna give you 5 different areas of the U.S. And then I want you to try to guess what the most searched item was on. By the way, this is from Pillsbury or General Mills. General Mills, but these are the top searched items
for food
on either BettyCrocker.com or Pillsbury.com for food. The most searched items in the month of November 2016. All right. So I guess we'll just start off on the West Coast. Let's go with the great state of California. What do you think California wanted to eat?
It's got to be like marijuana pumpkin pie or something.
Marijuana pumpkin pie. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you know all of the answers at the end. Let's document marijuana pumpkin pie.
Man, I would love a marijuana pumpkin pie. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, that might be the name of this episode. I'm just saying.
I do love pumpkin pie, so.
All right, so there's the first one. Let's go with
You gonna work your way like west to east? I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think the next one I'm gonna choose is you probably should have saved this for this state, but Colorado. What do you think Colorado would be?
And it's not turkey. Are these like weird things, or are they like kind of?
These are just generally searched items that people from that state would have searched on Pillsbury.com or BettyCrocker.com in the month of November 2016, before Thanksgiving.
Colorado. Is it going to be like some kind of wild game roast? Like, that's my guess. Some kind of
wild game roast?
Yeah, like a deer of some kind or something.
Okay. Deer or something roast. Okay.
Yeah, wild game roast of some kind.
All right. Let's document that. Let's next we're going to just go how about we'll go to the Midwest now. Let's do where I am. Let's go Missouri.
I mean, so I know you said none of them were turkey, but like the Midwest is where I discovered deep fried turkey. And that's like something else. And I feel like that has to be searched because, I mean, that's like a terrifying feat to accomplish. But you're saying it's not deep fried turkey.
I'm saying no. When I read through this list, I did not see anything related to turkey.
Okay, so
I'm looking it
like
over right now.
Like pecan pie, or what do you guys do with like yams? It's like sweet potato pie or something. It's like yams and like brown sugar, and it's just like
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Is that what you're guessing?
Fucking weird, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna guess.
Sweet potato casserole,
or the green bean casserole, which I actually think is really good, but I've never had that before until my time in Iowa.
Yeah, with some cream of mushroom soup in it.
Like who thinks of that?
We do.
And what are the weird like crispy things on top? Is it like they're like onions?
Yeah, I think it's like
pretzels.
Yeah, I think it's like French onion, like dehydrated onion or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, something like that. So did you want to change sweet potato casserole to green bean casserole?
No.
Or
let's stick.
Oh, okay.
Let's stick with sweet potato, but we'll honorary mention to the good old green bean casserole.
Sweet. Okay, that'll work. Let's go with the Northeast. We'll just pick New York.
I mean, New York is probably going to be like. I want to think it's going to be some kind of like Thanksgiving pizza, because that's when I think of New York, I always think of like big floppy pizza, and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Their sewer system is something else in New York.
Dude. I think they have an arcade down there. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, dude. They have a mutated rat also that's huge, and it knows karate. I didn't know if you knew this.
I mean, America is a great place. What would be a traditional? I feel like it's going to be something bread-like. I'm guessing it's going to be like a weird bread.
A weird bread. Okay. All right. A weird bread for New York. All right.
Yeah, I'm really not doing a good service to.
It's all right. And then for the South, we will pick. Oh gosh, which one? Let's go Louisiana.
Louisiana to me is going to be like Thanksgiving, like alligator, or like crawfish, or like squirrel.
Thanksgiving squirrel.
Hey man, squirrels are tasty. Don't knock them until you try them.
You've given me a couple of different great names for this episode.
They are the chicken of the trees.
The chicken of the trees.
They're delicious, man.
Not as much meat on them, but...
No, but like, you slice them up real nice and fry them. Pretty tasty.
I've never had it.
When next time you come out to Canada, I'll make you some.
All right. Sounds good. Do you want to work in reverse order for me giving you the answers?
Just go with what you feel. Sure.
Okay. We'll go in reverse order. So, Louisiana. You guessed Thanksgiving squirrel. The most searched item, cornbread dressing.
I would never have guessed that. Cornbread dressing? Is that a dressing you put on cornbread?
That's the thing. I don't know. I think Louisiana is like an entirely different world.
Is that is that like cornbread stuffing? Is dressing and stuffing the same thing?
Yeah, I'm betting it probably is. I call it stuffing, but that makes sense.
I would definitely fuck with some cornbread stuffing.
Yeah, dude.
Especially after eating that marijuana pumpkin pie.
True. All right. So, New York. You guessed a weird bread. That's what you said. And the answer is a weird bread. Holy shit, dude. How did you guess that, man? No, it's cheesecake. New York cheesecake.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I feel silly for not guessing that. Cheesecake for Thanksgiving?
Dude, cheesecake is good anytime, and Joe would agree with this, and he's listening. So I'm sure he'd have something to say at this point in time about cheesecake.
I want to circle back because I'm not really like a cake guy, and cheesecake is okay. Like just plain.
Would you classify cheesecake as more of a pie?
No, because it's called cheesecake. So I feel like if it was cheese pie, maybe. I am more of a pie guy, but if I'm gonna eat a cake, it's guaranteed carrot cake.
Okay. I can mess with some carrot cake, dude.
Why are people searching cheesecake for Thanksgiving? There's not
dessert, dude. You gotta have a good dessert.
Yeah, I guess.
You gotta.
Do you need dessert when you have like pecan
do.
Pie thing with like a shit ton of brown sugar? Like,
well, maybe they don't. Maybe they're doing cheesecake in New York. Maybe.
I guess New York cheesecake. Okay. I think I was thinking too crazy on this one, and some of these are pretty simple. But I hope marijuana pumpkin pie comes out.
Oh well, I guess we'll see. Then the next one, Missouri. You guessed sweet potato casserole.
Mm-hmm.
It is a casserole, but it's breakfast casserole. Have you ever had breakfast casserole?
Like a quiche?
No, it's not a quiche. It's like if I'm thinking this the right thing, it's my wife makes this. So
is it like the weird potatoes and like cheese and like some weird white sauce that could be gravy because Americans eat gravy for breakfast, which again...
No, I don't think there's any white sauce with it, but it's like it's the shredded potatoes, the hash browns,
mm-hmm.
and then there's bacon,
mm-hmm.
and there's eggs, and there's Swiss cheese and sharp cheddar cheese and cottage cheese, and you mix it all up, and you put it in a pan, you bake it up.
Yeah, the cottage cheese, that's where the white goopiness comes from.
It's not goopy when you cook it, though.
Can we just take a moment to, like, acknowledge that a lot of Americans have gravy for breakfast?
I mean, it's true. It's true.
When I first got to Graceland, my first breakfast, I was like, what the fuck is this?
You're like, why is there gravy on my Fruit Loops, dude?
Don't get me wrong, it's really good, but like,
and yeah, whoever invented gravy, they're to blame for our obesity, I think. Here in the States.
I was listening to another podcast, a really, really popular podcast, which I won't name.
How dare you, man? You don't.
I told you I have a podcast rotation. Anyways, the person that was being interviewed on there, he was like a doctor, like a health doctor. He called himself a functional medicine or whatever. And he was saying that 1/3 of America's population either has diabetes or is pre-diabetic. And 85% of those people who are pre-diabetic don't know it and will get diabetes.
Yeah.
Like, he was basically like, this is the biggest, like, and the amount of money that it costs. I think he said in like 40 years, America's budget, like if you took like the dollars that they have right now, in 40 years, they'll spend all of that money just on healthcare costs alone because of like diabetes and stuff. Like, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, we are. Well, if it's not Donald Trump, it's going to be diabetes. So, one of those things.
Speaking of our man DT, did you hear his new tax reform that he's releasing?
You know what? Half the time I don't even pay attention anymore which is pretty sad to say, but I find myself paying less and less attention.
Can I mention it really briefly?
Sure.
Again, we keep getting sucked back to this guy. Anyways, so his new thing is that he's not necessarily increasing taxes, but kind of getting rid of a tax break for graduate students. Basically, if you're a graduate student and if you got a stipend, you'd have to claim that as income. But which is fine, it's technically income. Like, I understand that. But if part of your like master's degree, the university said, okay, we'll give you free tuition because you're going to help with like research and teach, and then we'll give you the stipend. It's now mandatory. Well, the law that he's, pushing forward would make that tuition cost, that hypothetical tuition cost that grad student doesn't have to pay, they're going to have to claim that as income and pay taxes on that. Like, how does that make sense? Like,
it doesn't. I think that's pretty cut and dry. It doesn't make sense. Not many things make sense nowadays.
Anyways, let's not get down. Let's go back to the food because clearly that's where I like to be. So we did Midwest. So we have where?
So we did Missouri. Mm-hmm. We were just there.
Colorado's where we're at now, right?
We are headed to Colorado.
I miss Colorado.
Colorado. You said deer or something roast.
Mm-hmm.
So like a gamey, some kind of game roast.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. The most searched item. Actually, this is a traditional thing. It's not turkey, but it's cranberry sauce.
Who the fuck is Googling cranberry sauce?
Actually, that's one of the things that I've never enjoyed about Thanksgiving.
I don't like it either, but isn't it just like cranberries and some sugar? Mix it together. And
I think so. Most of the time, the cranberry sauce I've dealt with is not sauce at all. It's just like it's like a canned, almost like a gelatin.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just dump it out and then you cut it up into slices and you set it out on a tray. And then there's the cranberry sauce, but it's not sauce at all. It's just like a slice of cranberry jelly or something.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know why people are searching for that anywhere. But yeah, so that was that. I was, Colorado's in the States. I don't know if, it's covered in Canada or anything, but they're known pretty widely for adopting, recreational marijuana. So I was thinking the marijuana pumpkin pie was going to be more of a Colorado thing. But you guessed that for California. I was thinking before I actually looked at this list, the California, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be like a kale milkshake or something like that, or like some kind of clean eating, like an avocado toast or something like that,
avocados.
Yeah, I like avocados, but I said that weird. But we'll move on. You guessed marijuana pumpkin pie for California, and it is something that I would like to eat while under the influence of marijuana. It would be macaroni and cheese
For Thanksgiving.
for Thanksgiving. It's like a side dish.
I don't. Okay. Well, I don't think I got any exactly right, but I'd give myself like an 80% on that. That's pretty close.
You're giving yourself an 80%, and you got nothing right.
I don't even know if I was in the same food group for any of them.
Well, you said casserole, and a casserole is sort
right.
of a group in and of itself. So I'll give you a partial point on the casserole.
That's right.
By the way, green bean casserole was Minnesota, so you weren't far off.
I mean, in all fairness, I had
north.
no chance in getting any of these right.
Couple states north, you would have had that right if I would have picked Minnesota. Stop. Let's talk for a second about our sponsor today, Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. The book that I'm recommending for the month of November is We Are Legion, We Are Bob. It's book 1 in a series of 3 books known as the Bobiverse. It's written by Dennis Taylor, narrated by Ray Porter. It's got a running time of 9 hours and 30 minutes. Basically, the book is about a gentleman who sold his software company, and he crosses the street and ends up getting killed. Wakes up a century later, finds he has no rights. He's been turned into artificial intelligence. He's been put into a probe. And it looks pretty interesting. Again, this is a series of 3 books. So we are going to cover November, December, and January for the Bobiverse. So if that sounds like something that you would like to listen to, a little bit of ear candy, head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled. Hey, get that free 30-day trial. You're welcome. But I thought that was a pretty interesting list here. Let me see if there's anything else. Ohio buffalo chicken dip. What is that?
Ooh, I've had that here. Well, at least the lazy man's way is you get like cream cheese. You get a slow cooker. This is my slow cooker. And then you throw some cream cheese in, and then you get some like Frank's buffalo sauce, and then you pre-cook some shredded chicken, throw that in there, stir it all up, let it cook, and then you just like dip whatever the fuck you want in there. Bread, chips.
Your face.
My face.
into boiling hot.
Oh baby! I mean, I've had it where I've just like dunked like other chicken wings in there. But that is kind of, people give me weird looks. But
you know what? This is funny. all these are like side dishes and stuff, and then Idaho theirs was biscuits, just biscuits. Like, why is anybody searching just biscuits? Like, you can just go to the store and get a can of biscuits. Like, there's no reason why you would search for biscuits.
So, what are you gonna do for Thanksgiving dinner? Like, are you guys making something? Going family? What's going on?
No, so we're doing Christmas with my family this year. So we're just gonna be hanging out, kicking it here.
Nice.
Are you gonna be eating like a superfluous amount of like McDonald's or something to try to channel your inner American? Or
I'll do something. I'll do something in honor of American Thanksgiving.
Hey, thanks, man. Our listeners thank you as well. You're a true patriot. But we hosted Christmas. We're hosting Christmas again. But we hosted Thanksgiving this year, Canadian Thanksgiving. And it was pretty fun. Did a bunch of food. I think it's like more or less similar stuff. I kind of went a different route, and I smoked some pork butts. Hey man, you don't gotta be gross, dude. You don't gotta.
I don't know. All right. Well, are you gonna do any Black Friday shopping? I guess is the real question, because I know like they're doing pre-Black Friday here, so I didn't even know when Black Friday actually was. I thought Thanksgiving was like last week, I guess. Because it was
No,
like,
it's
I was in the
the
mall and it was like Black Friday sales. And I was like, what? It's not Thanksgiving, is it? Like,
no, it's so Black Friday happens. Obviously, it's
yeah.
supposed to be the day after Thanksgiving, but and Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday, I think, is what it is of November. But I'm not going to be doing any Black Friday. I don't really believe in it. I've only done Black Friday one time, and it was to buy something for myself. And it was while I was in college. So it was like,
yeah,
I don't want to fight the crowds or get trampled or whatever.
I guess they don't really put passports on Black Friday sales, eh?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, unfortunately.
Just a little poke. Just a little poke.
Yeah, I deserve it. I deserve it. It's okay. Maybe they do. Maybe I'll check into it. Maybe that's something I'll look into.
15% off all passport applications. What?
I'm in. Maybe.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I don't have any plans on doing Black Friday stuff. But one thing I think is sort of weird is like it used to be that like Thanksgiving was just off limits, just completely off limits. You can't do any shopping on Thanksgiving because everything's closed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's celebrating Thanksgiving because it's a national holiday. And then somewhere along the line, all of the stores got together and said, "Oh, hey, let's start pushing our sales back to where it's like, oh, our store's opening up at 9 at night or." Whatever, and then people are getting there earlier and earlier, and now it's just sort of like whatever. I guess people just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't participate in it. I don't even like. I'm still just sitting around in my pajamas all day on Thanksgiving, so who cares,
Just trying to pass that food, baby.
Yeah, just eating my marijuana pumpkin pie and.
You know what is exciting, Zach, for my wedding?
What?
Weed will be legal across Canada by my wedding.
Oh, is it being recreationalized?
Yeah.
Dude.
Across the country. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I need to do something official for my wedding. Like have cupcakes and then marijuana pumpkin pie cupcakes.
Dude, that's such a good idea, man.
Oh my god.
That's such a good idea.
I'm gonna ask Al if I can do that, / if I can ask the venue if I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, is it like that's the one thing I think about, like, even if tomorrow weed became legal in the US, like it's up to your employer or whatever venue you're in to set the standard or set the rule on that. So it's like that would sort of suck if it's like legalized, but your workplace is just still like, nah, can't do that. Yeah, but that's sort of
I guess it depends on the kind of work you're doing, and the same thing. Like, I know a lot of workplaces are like adding it into their drug and alcohol plans, and like how do you like. Obviously, you're allowed to drink alcohol, but you can't drink alcohol at work, and you can't be under the influence of alcohol when you're at work. And like, how can you test that? And they're like getting some better like tests to say like, are you high right now? Outside of like, are you acting like an idiot?
Sure, without doing blood work, you mean?
Yeah, but I think that's gonna cause some challenges. But at the end of the day, I still think it's the right thing to do.
Sure,
both from like a social perspective, but also selfishly.
Absolutely. You gotta be selfish a little bit when it comes to things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Speaking of marijuana, we went to the Colorado trip. It's been a couple years back. That was a fun time. You got sick while we were there.
You thought you guys were gonna have to carry me down a mountain?
Dude. Yeah, that was, we were probably like a half day from just being like, all right, well, we probably need to figure out what we're going to do to get Jonny. Like,
just roll me down. I mean, I feel like Logan and Joe could have dropped weight and
Sure.
just like ran down, and then you could have just stayed with me. But you know, I persevered, ate a
You
bunch
did.
of Tylenol and drank a bunch of water and took those water tablets and, you know, puked my guts out for like 4 hours, and then, you know,
Dude.
pulled through and was like, all right, let's do this.
That was the most majestic puke that you ever had, though. Like just the nature around you, like you're like, oh my, the stars, though, man. Look at this. You can see all of them, dude.
Nothing
Oh
like just
man, look at that crystal clear lake.
nothing like vomiting like chocolate bars and beef jerky and like dehydrated meals right next to your tent in bear country. Like,
yeah, we were eating foods that you shouldn't ever throw up, for sure.
Yeah,
Trail mix and just like, yeah, like you said, dehydrated meats and stuff. It's like, nah, you know, that's not meant to come back up,
man,
ever.
I mean, I was so cold every night because I brought like the tiniest sleeping bag because I didn't want to carry too much weight.
It's true, you did. It was really thin.
I was so cold.
I got a nice one for the trip, man. It was nice. It covered my head.
Yeah,
like a little hood that went up over top of my head.
I know. I just stared at you all night while I was shivering, and you were just like snoring up a storm, so peaceful and warm.
I was going little mouth smacks,
and I'm
everything.
just like
There were a couple times I woke up and you were like spooning me, and I was like, "Whoa, what's happening?
So
what's going on, man?"
So I'm clearly establishing a pattern for this. For someone who's like spent so much time in the mountains and like backcountry, and I've made a horrible sleeping bag choice when we were in Colorado. So this past, I think it was September. Yeah, it was September long weekend here. I had a couple of my like childhood buddies come down to Calgary to go camping in the mountains, and I invited Wally, and he came. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing my mountain sleeping bag. I am not doing this again. And the day of, like, everyone kind of flew in and we were like hanging out and we partied at my house. So then Saturday morning, we're like, okay, we're going to head to the mountains early because I have this like cool little spot that's hidden away, like in the backcountry. And so we're like running and getting all our groceries in and like bring like bags and loading up 2 trucks and like all this stuff. And we get there and we set up our tent. And I'm like looking around, and I forgot my sleeping bag.
Oh no!
For a, I think we were there 2 nights, a two night trip. I had no sleeping bag, and I was just like, "Fuck." So
what is it with you and sleeping?
I don't know,
bags,
man.
dude?
It was. I pulled it out too and was like, "Don't forget this," and like
I do that stuff all the time.
And I literally like set it down next. Like I pulled it out of the closet that I had like my stuff in and put it down in the spare bedroom and just like left it there.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point for me where I have to like put it like in the vehicle like ahead of time while I'm thinking of it. Like it's in my hand. All right, well I might as well make the trip out because
I'm gonna put it somewhere and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first night, I mean, I was pretty intoxicated that it was okay. I kind of scavenged some like little like blankets from like my truck, and then like my buddy Jer had like his dog's blanket in his truck, and I was like, I don't even care.
You're making a makeshift blanket out of like vines that you're thatching together and stuff.
Basically, I almost went that far. And the worst part was I was like, okay, well, I'll just like sleep outside next to the fire. But there was a fire ban because we had crazy droughts here in the summer. So we had no fire. So I couldn't even like curl up next to the fire. And I was just like, God damn it. So it was me and Wally sleeping on an air mattress. And Dude. I had this blanket and I like wore all of my clothes and like made it through the night somewhat miserably. And then the next night I was like, Wally, I can't do this. And I made him unzip his sleeping bag. So that just like laid it out like a blanket. And I was still so cold that I just like wiggled myself next to him. He like woke up. I had his arm like over me. I was just like being spooned by this mammoth man. And he's like, what the fuck, John? I was like, shh, it's for survival.
Yeah, I think you can use it's for survival for any given situation.
Hey man, anything below 40 degrees, it's just survival.
Yeah, don't judge. Don't make any assessments of the situation.
That was a pretty funny night where he was just like, God damn it, John.
That's typical Jonny.
Yeah, classic Jonny. Forget my sleeping bag.
For sure. Let's see here. What else did I got? When Joe and I were still doing the podcast, Joe.
Stupid Joe.
Yeah. We were talking about big game hunting. And you said that
I wanted to chat about this.
Yeah, so what's your take on it?
Well, so I am a hunter.
Sure.
But I eat more or less everything that I kill. Obviously, like, there's some limitations to that. Like, if I harvest a coyote, I don't typically eat the coyote. I have tried coyote.
Yeah, what's that like?
I don't know, not very tasty. Kind of like weird, greasy.
That's gross.
Yeah, it's not that good. I've eaten a lot of things that are not that appealing. But one that I will say, I ate a porcupine once.
Yeah.
And I figured out where it got its name from. Because it tasted like piney pork. Like, it was like a pine tree and like pig. It was really weird, but kind of delicious. But not worth the effort of skinning that thing.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, so the juice was not worth the squeeze then.
No, it was so tedious, and I had so many like little punctures in my hand. So big game hunting, I think, like, I guess I should open, because there'll be people that be like, oh, John, you're such an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Hunting's bad. So obviously I think, like, pure trophy hunting, like poaching, is wrong. Any kind of poaching. And I think a lot of poaching that happens by white people automatically gets assumed to be like big game hunting or trophy hunting.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But what people like fail to realize, and we take a very like Western viewpoint, especially when it comes to like elephants. I don't really agree with hunting at all.
Right. Yeah. Sort of an unnecessary thing.
Yeah. But like lions, for example.
Sure.
So we see lions like in the zoo, and they're these big, like majestic, like beautiful beasts, and they're like fantastic. And we think they should be protected, and in many cases, absolutely they should be.
Right.
But we don't realize that, like, in certain parts in Africa, they're like a pest, or they're dangerous, or they're like eating livestock or kids, right?
Yeah.
But we don't like think with that viewpoint, and where I actually got this from is I knew a guy who was from South Africa, and we were talking, because it was around the time when Cecil the lion got shot. And, you know, we were kind of I was talking to him about what his thoughts were on it. And he was like, you know, I mean, Cecil, if I recall correctly, and again, if memory serves me right, he was shot legally. It was just the wrong elephant. So, like, the guy paid for a guide and thought he was hunting in, like, an okay area, and whatever. So that story happened, whatever. But he was saying that, you know, what people in like the West are like, oh, there's these beautiful, rare animals, but they don't understand the danger and the havoc that they wreak on people who actually live in those countries where they are native to, right? And the other one that came up was there was a guy who paid like $400,000 to kill a black rhino. And you know, they're near, like, they're on the extinction watch list or whatever. Like, they're in critical levels, and understandably so. Like, people should be outraged. But what people didn't do the research on was this rhino that this guy hunted. It was the only black rhino that he was allowed to shoot, and the reason why they wanted it to get shot on this conservation was because this black rhino got to an age where it basically had, like, kind of like CTE, like brain damage, and it had dementia basically, and it was killing other baby rhinos to protect its territory.
Wow.
And like attacking like its mom. So they're saying, okay, we're trying to protect, you know, this black rhino population, but we have a black rhino that is killing babies, which are really hard to get. Like, it's really hard to get them to mate because they're pretty aggressive. So when they do mate and it takes, and you have a baby, you want to protect it. And now there's this other black rhino. So this guy, this conservation actually approached this guy through like a couple of different avenues who they knew he was a kind of a big hunter and was open. And he was like, you know, a rich philanthropist out of Texas. And they basically came to him and said, hey, we're going to auction off the opportunity to hunt this black rhino, and here's why. And like, all the money is going to go back to the conservation of protecting these black rhinos. So the guy basically who was organizing the auction just said, can I count on you to put a bid in? And he's like, yeah, I'll put a bid in just to get things going and see what happens. Well, it turns out that no one else wanted to bid on it because it was pretty expensive, and it was obviously, you know, a controversial hunt. So he gets it. So he pays $400,000 to hunt this rhino, and that the money goes back to the conservation to protect these rhinos. And he spends weeks finding this one very specific black rhino, this old rhino that's killing other rhinos, and he harvests it. And people lost their mind and were like sending him death threats and like saying they were going to kill him and his family, and that he was like heartless, and, you know, how could you do that? And like, how are you not worrying about like conserving these endangered species? And he was like people just didn't do their research. So that, like, and my friend who's from South Africa, again, he talks about like, people don't realize the economic impact of having, you know, North American Westerners come and hunt in their small villages, and how a lot of that meat is often used to feed those villages. So yes, poaching is wrong and you should never do it. And like, I'm very against poaching, but I think when it comes to big game hunting, there's often a reason and an advantage to having someone come and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to harvest an endangered animal if it's protecting, you know, a greater population of that animal, or helping people, especially in the cases of like harvesting lions that could be, you know, a nuisance to a small village. Right. And at the end of the day, I think like, yes, I would want to protect animals, and typically hunters are the biggest supporters of conservation efforts because we spend the most time in the outdoors and respect the animal. We utilize the animal. But you know, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to like predator based animals, if they're eating livestock that's putting human lives or kids at risk, you have to decide, is like one lion versus like a village of kids, you know, like where's your choice? And it's just a very like Western and a privileged view to be like, no, we need to protect all these animals, but like, I don't care if you're starving, or I don't care if you're poor. Right.
I think it's like a what are they called, the keyboard warriors, where they're just sort of like, you know, taking a stance on things, maybe not having the most educated, you know, opinion on it, or not doing any kind of looking into the situation. Like, I mean, it's sort of similar. I often, like, I'm on Facebook. I often like will just sort of troll my news feed, and when somebody posts something that, you know, is news related or whatever, like, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking to see if there's any kind of reputable source for this. Like, where's your information coming from, you know, or what's this full picture look like? Because if you're saying, you know, that, you know, for instance, you know, Barack Obama was, you know, a Kenyan or whatever, you know, like, okay, show me, prove it, you know, prove it to me, like, without, beyond a shadow of a doubt, prove it to me. Or like, if you're going to have a stance on big game hunting, like, why are you taking this stance as opposed to looking at the impact on, you know, conservation efforts or local communities because of this big game hunting? Like, there are obvious positives, you know, and I'm sure there are negatives in some situations for big game hunting, but I think it's overall not a bad thing.
No, and again, it has to be done respectfully, just like hunting in North America, or, you know, your birth country, that it should be like there are rules and there's impacts and
Sure.
utilization of the animal. And I just think it's like, it's such a privileged viewpoint, especially judging other cultures on what they eat.
Right.
Like eating. So a big thing here in Calgary is the Calgary Stampede. It's like one of the world's biggest rodeos. It's a pretty big deal.
I've heard of it.
I don't really like going to it, not because of like an animal standpoint. Actually, I like the rodeo part. I don't like all the other side attractions that come with it.
Yeah.
But it came out in the news this past year that any horses that were injured or put down because of rodeo activities were being sent to France for food because they eat. It's more like acceptable to eat horses out there, and people were losing their minds that horses were being eaten. And I was like, well, is your preference that horse gets like wasted, like
Sure.
to not feed someone?
Sure.
Or like looking at countries who eat like what we'd consider household animals, right? And it's like, well, to them that's just food. And like, unless you visit these countries and you understand and see like poverty, it's a really privileged thing to say.
Sure.
This is my dog, it's for petting, and like this is my pig, it's for eating.
Right.
Like, and I think people lose track of like when you look at world hunger and the need for food, and if you're living in that country or that lifestyle, it comes down to, do I want to die or do I want to eat this animal that Westerners think is like cute and furry? And it's like, well, I'm probably going to eat it, right?
Yeah, and that's just because we have an abundance of food otherwise that we can just run to the grocery store, and we have the ability to just buy stuff. Like if there's a poverty situation, like I mean, just being myself and being a Westerner, I don't know that I'd be able to eat a dog.
Mm-hmm. Just
because that's how the situation I've grown up in. But in a different life, in a different place, if it just wasn't a thing where we had household pets, or or if like you'd have your pet but you eat other dogs, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah. I mean, it's a necessity thing, right? A survival thing.
Right.
And I think it's so easy to forget that like we can go to the grocery store and get just about whatever you want.
Sure.
Pretty, in a more or less affordable nature in some way, shape, or form. I think it's a whole nother topic of conversation around processed foods, but not everyone has that ability, right? And if they do have grocery stores, they maybe don't have the money to do it, so they're living more of a natural lifestyle, right? And so, and that's like one of the things that drives me nuts as a hunter, when someone who I know eats meat like judges me for hunting, and it's like, well, it's like the most natural way to get your meat, right? Like,
right.
And when you want to talk about like organic, I mean, that's pretty organic. And like myself and my family, we literally do every aspect of that butchering ourselves, like basically from field to table, we do it.
Yeah.
But there's people that are like, oh, how could you do that? And it's like, well, sorry, while you're eating your like pepperoni pizza, like where do you think that pepperoni came from?
Right. I think it's just like people want to justify the eating is like, oh, well, I didn't kill the thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just sort of like, yeah, I'm eating it, but I didn't get my hands dirty firsthand at it. But it's like, you're still eating the thing.
Yeah,
you know
you're just passing the blame, right? Like what it is, what it is. But yeah, anyways, that's my kind of long, kind of short take on big game hunting, I think, or like trophy hunting, that I think in certain situations is actually very beneficial. But again, poaching is wrong and should be, those people should be punished to the fullest extent.
Yeah. I saw, speaking of big game hunting, and I've seen this a while back, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Let me see if I can find it. It's this guy, and he's hunting a water buffalo, and he's an arrow. He's just an archer. Mm-hmm. And he's I can't remember. He must have been in Africa or something like that. I'm trying to think. I think water buffalo are African, but oh God, what is it? I think this is the one. I can't remember. Anyway, he's like having to be completely still, and just like the patience that it takes to do that. And it's almost like in a way, it's almost sort of like an art form. You know, you have to practice to get good at it. You know, just like anything. But God, I wish I could find or remember what this guy's name is. If anybody can think of or knows what I'm talking about, you know, feel free to shout us out or whatever. But it was pretty impressive. Like the whole lead up. I think the video was like 20 minutes long, but like 10 of it was just him like slowly creeping up to a position where he could get close enough to have like an unobstructed view at this thing, and just like hit it in the perfect spot. I think the arrow passed straight through, but it like, you know, hit it in the heart, and he was down pretty quick. But and of course, you know, they cut the video, but then like they turned it back on. He'd already like taken all the meat. Yeah. He'd already, you know, he packed it all in his pack, and they were hiking back, and I think they had to make a couple different trips or whatever.
Yeah, usually you do.
But it was pretty impressive. And while it's not something that I've ever done or really care to do, I thought it was pretty interesting and didn't see any real problem with it. You know?
As long as you're not wasting, right? Like that's just how I grew up with like my family and my grandfather on our farm was like, especially little kids with guns and like shooting things. Like if you kill it, it has to have a purpose. And that purpose is either like defense or you're going to eat it. So if you're like out there putzing around and you shoot a bunch of squirrels, you're going to eat them, which I mean, ends up, I actually enjoy eating squirrels. They're pretty tasty.
Or maybe they were attacking you. Maybe they were rabid squirrels that were, you know, all working together with one common goal to eat your face.
You never know. I mean, one of those things gets on your back, like you ain't getting it off.
No, dude. They're burrowing. They're burrowing in.
There are some tough squirrels out there, let me tell you.
They'd be pretty rough. What is I think I've seen... I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think there's like a movie or something with a torture scene where they put like a rat inside of a box with an open bottom to it. They put it like on your stomach.
Oh, that was Fast and the Furious 2, I think. And it was like they were in the club and it was a bucket and they put the rat on the guy's chest in a bucket and they heated up the bucket and they're like, basically the rat will freak out and will chew through your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was messed up. Yeah, they're pretty vicious little creatures.
Yeah, they are. They don't care. Well, Johnny, I don't have any more talking points, but I guess this is probably a good time to cut it off anyway, because we're at an hour 11. So.
Oh man, we're just nailing it out. I forgot to hit the record button again.
Dude, I would kill you, dude. I would say, all right, man.
Didn't realize talking to me was so bad.
No, I'd be like, all right, man, well, I guess I'm doing a solo podcast this week. Let me know when you want to do it again.
It's just you talking without my vocals. People are like, what the fuck is happening?
Dude, that'd be the weirdest thing ever. Nobody would understand anything.
Oh, it'd be beautiful. We should try that out.
Yeah, you know, we'll make that like a Thursday release or something like that, and then see how that's got like so few, like the fewest amount of views. Oh, by the way, thanks to everybody for continuing to listen. We had last week on Johnny's release day, we had a high in several different key statistics. So boom. I think that's mostly because of Johnny. He doesn't want to accept it, but he's I am likening him to the Jesus of this podcast. He's the savior. He's you know, he's sort of bringing it back to life, because I know this would have died a slow death. It would have died a slow, painful death if it was just me.
Well, you know, I do what I can, and I'm glad people are enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it. Definitely, I feel like exposing more of myself faster than I had planned to. Especially after today's episode, who knows? People are going to be like, "What is this, Johnny?"
That I think that was a direct quote from 1 Corinthians, right? Jesus said that. That was in the red lettering.
I mean, I'm not much of a Bible guy, but so I'll take your word on it.
I mean, somebody can prove me wrong, but I think that was 1 Corinthians.
I'm kind of bummed we haven't had any applications for fact checker. Like,
it's still open, guys.
I don't know why. I think I had a dream that Jordo did the job.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool, but I don't know if he listens.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him, threaten to choke him out again if he doesn't.
I will make an international trip.
Just to choke Jordan out.
That's funny, man. All right, well let's wrap it up here.
All right.
Wanna say thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks to our sponsor, Audible. Johnny's getting no money from this, by the way. Actually, I haven't made money since back in July, I don't think. But but we're gonna keep repping it. Thanks Audible for sponsoring us. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled to get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. We're on all social media at Jumbled Podcast. Feel free to send any emails, questions, concerns, whatever. Actually, if you have concerns, keep them to yourself, like we said before.
But no, you can send them to me. Send them to me. I love concerns, especially ignoring them.
Yeah. You want to give your embarrassing email address, Johnny?
No, I almost gave my first ever email address, which I still use on occasion, but I've never checked. It's like, it's my go-to email when it's like, you need an email for this. I'm like, I really don't want to get emails from this. So I put it down because you need like an email to verify. It still works.
Sure. Oh yeah, mine's a Yahoo that I use, but
mine's a Hotmail.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. All those lesser used email applications nowadays. We are on iTunes. Head over there, rate and review, subscribe if you haven't already. If this is your first time listening, thank you. Feel free to go back through the entirety of the podcast. Although I will say, if you just jumped in, this is Johnny's second episode, so there's going to be some other dude for the first 35 episodes. Really just don't pay attention to anything he says. And then when you get to episode 37, that's when it picks up.
Yeah, he was full of shit, and I know it. I have all the stats on it.
Yeah, he does. Even though we are both technically full of shit,
equal amount of shit.
Yeah, because we tied. And then we're on Stitcher, we're on Google Play Music, we're on SoundCloud. All of our information is out there. Just search us, you'll be able to find us. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for joining in today, guys. And Johnny, man, you're killing it with the podcast game, dude.
Boom. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble. We'll see you guys later.